Okay. Hello. This is Stoner Footbag, also known as Joe, and today, to you I will read a bit of a short story, which I am writing, because why not? Nothing else to do with my time, and obviously you have nothing else to do with yours, or you wouldn't be reading this. Just hold on for a second. Okay. This is about Leeroy, little kid. Leeroy, get in here right now. You need to do your homework and eat your supper. The shouter was a woman with brown hair and eyes of the like. Her frame was thick and so was her voice. She was also a mother of the teenager Leeroy, who was currently perched atop a tree, a great big beech tree, enjoying the cool late afternoon air. "Coming, Ma, calm down," he shouted back as he made his way to the forest floor. Leeroy was a thin boy with green eyes and brown hair. He was always sunburned because he loved the outdoors, and he was fond of the freedom that nudity provided. He rushed as fast as he could to go home, through the briars, poplars, beeches, birches, and oaks. He wanted to meander leisurely back to the house, but he didn't want to choose between his favorite trees for fashioning a switch, which his mother would make him if he was late. Leeroy dashed to the edge of the forest where he left his school bag and clothes. He shoved his clothes on hastily and forcibly. He grabbed his school bag and practically flew across the cow pasture to his house. Panting, he stood at the doorway, leaning himself on the frame for support as he panted from his run. "Where have you been?" asked the shape of his glowering mother in the shadow of their dimly lit house. Ignoring the direct question, whether by righteousness or distraction, Leeroy asked, "What did you cook?" he asked, smelling the sweet, sweet scent of his mama's favorite chicken soup. Leeroy made a step forward. "Not so fast," his mom said. "You're doing your schoolwork before you can eat any stew." "Come on, Ma," he said. "Can't I just eat one bowl before I work?" "Only if you do your chores," she said. "Chores, a little soup, homework, then all the soup you want." "'Kay, fine, see ya," said Leeroy, tossing his school bag outside to land next to the wheelbarrow, which he then picked up. He went to the barn at a fast pace because he wanted at least one bowl of warm soup. Warm soup. As he was pulling a bushel from his haystack, he thought of the upcoming homework with dread. Distracting. He hated school. He saw no point in staying inside all day learning stuff he'd never want to or have to do. All he wanted was the outdoors. That didn't require math or science. He didn't need to name every element on the periodic table or to name every president. He could just be a lumberjack or farmer, something that needed hard, simple work, farm work, woodwork, whichever. Leeroy pushed the barrow out of the other side of the barn to a fenced-in field, the same that he had rushed through earlier. He tossed chunks of hay from the wheelbarrow into the feeding troughs. He began to head back when he saw a small black splotch laying in the distance. Leeroy went over to the smudge under the horizon. As he approached it, he thought it to be a sleeping cow, maybe a newborn. But when he reached it, he saw that there was no life left in the cow. It was not just your everyday dead cow. This one had no eyeballs. And when Leeroy looked at the cow's abdomen, no organs. Shit, how am I gonna tell this to my ma? He thought. This doesn't look like a wolf or coyote attack. The missing pieces of the cow seemed to have been cut out with precision only achieved by the skill level of a surgeon. Realizing this, what kind of doctor would do this? He thought. The good meat parts are all still here, and where are the others? He had dozens of questions, and dozens more when he saw that all the grass that was under the cow was scorched. At this point, Leeroy was terrified. Then he was mortified when he realized that he was in this very area running home from the woods just a few minutes ago. Leeroy looked closer, enraptured in the sheer awfulness of it, and discovered there was not one drop of blood on the ground. And the poor dead cow. He poked around the corpse just to test for inconsistencies in his prior observations. He found that the cow was still slightly warm. He went onto full-out crisis mode at the realization that the cow had been alive, breathing, and intact less than 10 minutes ago. Leeroy dropped his wheelbarrow and ran. He didn't make it very far before he felt tingly. A blinding light shrouded him. Next thing he knew, it was black, dark enough that he couldn't tell if his eyelids were open or shut. It was dark, not a single shred of light. Amidst the darkness, there was a bed, one with a small blue mattress, and had poplar supports and sidings. A pillow rested under his head. He awoke thinking he was at home. He reached around, half asleep, for the quilt his Nana made him. Finding nothing, he lifted his head and opened his eyes. It was still solid black. Again he tried. Nothing. Suddenly, all was white, an all-consuming light emanating from everywhere. His head shut off the pillow, and he bolted upright. Was this just a dream? He turned to the side of the bed and tried to put his feet down, but it was all give. A voice that was coming from everywhere at once began speaking. "Welcome to the Hivemind. We need your compliance." It wasn't a question. "You will give your mind over to us," it stated, in a voice that sounded as if hundreds of people spoke at once. "What if I don't?" asked Leeroy gravely. "Then we make you comply. You will kill for us. You will kill people with power for us. We will gain power from you and your actions. You will be rewarded by your compliance," it said. They said. Thinking of no other options, Leeroy looked around and said, "Fine, I comply for now. Forever," the multitude of voices said, perfectly in sync. Before Leeroy could say no, his head was pumped full of memories and visions, everything that those who submitted themselves to the Hivemind had ever known or felt. Such perceptual overload, such might. Leeroy blacked out. And that, my friends, is the first little part of a short story I'm writing. Hope it didn't suck as much as I thought it would. I actually wrote this short story while I was in a mental hospital. Believe it or not, I'm not as steady as I look. Yeah, nothing else to do than write, sleep, eat, avoid work. You have to do work in some asylums. Yes, but I hope you liked that. And I would like for you to watch other videos of mine and potentially subscribe, like, view. But my favorite is comments. I need a lot of comments because I get bored. Love you guys. Good night.